Let's take a very powerful thought and follow it for a while. An idea. The idea, the thought that you are at the mercy of anything you don't understand. Logical? Clear already? Are you not subject to, at the mercy of anyone, any situation, any condition that you don't understand? Of course you are. Doesn't that make you very eager already to want to know what you are all about? What this world that you're in is all about? Probably not. It doesn't make you eager because your very habit system of just sitting back and letting yourself be defeated by anything that wants to defeat you. You're not very noble at all. To accept misunderstanding and chaos as good for you, as necessary, as permanent, that has no intelligence in it at all. Now, if your television set breaks down or your automobile breaks down, you can rely for a price upon the understanding of someone else. You can hire a man to come over and fix your car or TV set. He'll fix it up, and he'll collect his money and take off. Okay, on that, try to get someone to think for you, to understand life for you, to understand yourself for you. It can't be done. You see, if you're ever going to be different, if you ever have the urge to be different, you're going to have to do something different, which is to make up your mind that you yourself are going to understand you yourself. You're not going to hire anyone. Oh, you've tried. You've read all those books by people, and you've gone to all those talks by people, and you've heard all those sermons by people. When are you going to understand that you're trying to let other people understand your life for you, which is the reason it is such a chaos? Look, it is right in front of you and you don't see it. You want someone else to think for you, to repair your life for you. And you cry and scream. Well, let me give you another thought to follow that up. Let's do something about this horrible condition that you were in. Listen to this. You, with the right intention, with the right wish even, the right start even, listen to this. You can be more intelligent than your confusion. You can be. Listen to what I said. You can have superior intelligence to your defeat. You can do something about what is doing something against you. You can be more intelligent. You can be above whatever is causing you all that grief and all that worry. Now, I'm stating that as the fact. You don't know that as a fact, but I'm telling you that it is something that can be achieved by you. That with the right intention, as I said, with the right hard work, going after it day after day and month after month and year after year, you can discover this intelligence which will become your intelligence, which will be stronger, higher than anything that is now making you cry, and practically anything can make you cry, can't it? Now, you don't do it publicly, but you sure cry a lot at home and inwardly, and you put on the mask. You put on the mask that all is well, and you laugh it off. Aren't you weary of trying to laugh it off? It doesn't work. Look, I told you that there's the possibility for you doing something else than trying to laugh it off and pretend that it doesn't hurt. You see, because you are not the only person on earth, you don't have to depend upon yourself. You can depend on something else, but you'll find that, and that's a long story in itself, you'll find there's something else when you have ceased to depend upon yourself the way you're now doing it, which is the same thing as relying. You are now relying, you listen to me. You are relying on your ignorance, hoping that it will somehow turn into intelligence. How is that for stupidity? This is what you're doing, I'm telling you. Do you want to reject that and laugh that off? You can do it. As a matter of fact, most people do. Do you think most people want these hard truths that we're talking about? Do you think you want them? Or tomorrow and the next day and the next day, you're going to be the same kind of a human being that you are right now. How sad. How unnecessary, how foolish, and what a waste. I better ask you something. At what point are you going to stop wasting your life? Well, you know it is. You know it's wasteful. You don't have anything of value. You try hard to convince yourself that those material possessions you have lasting value. You've never convinced yourself, have you? You try to convince yourself that all those exciting plans you have for the future, all those so-called securities you have, you work so hard to try to talk yourself into thinking that you have something solid. Why don't you give up trying to convince yourself that you're right? Just give it up. Don't go down that path anymore. Just don't argue and try to convince yourself that you're right. Because if you have to do that, that's evidence all by itself that you're wrong. Why don't you try being wrong? That won't hurt you. Knowing, admitting, confessing, seeing that you're wrong won't hurt you. See, you're mixed up. You're confused. You can't think clearly. You think that admitting that you're wrong is going to hurt you? Admitting that you've been wrong all your life is the one thing that's going to make you right and which is going to change things for you. The only thing that will change things for you. Let's take a little example. Listen to this. This is very close to where you live. I know where you live. I know you people. All of you, whether I've seen you before or not. You can either feel right or you can feel accepted by other people. But you can't have both. You can't feel both. Try it again. You can feel accepted by other people and sell yourself to them. You know how you sell, you fill in the blanks. You know how you sell yourself to other people. You can either feel accepted by them because you've sold yourself, or you can feel right inside and you can't feel both. One or the other. Which do you want? Let's take a look at it. Look how you sacrifice your very spirit to hang on to people, to cling to them, to have them around you. Oh, what folly and what ignorance. When you have no idea of what those people are like inwardly. And if you did know, oh, how you would run away. But you see what you've done. That you've attributed all sorts of virtues to yourself which you don't really possess. And having made that mistake, you then project it outwardly, and you attribute virtue and strength and wisdom and kindness to other people. You attribute to them, lean on them, and you both fall down. I better explain something to you so you won't make a mistake like that again. In this whole universe, in this whole world, there's no such thing as a strong human personality. All there is outer fakery, outer bluff, outer power, financial power, military power, political power, social power, influence. Aren't you grateful that I've just told you that you don't have to waste your life anymore looking around for someone strong? Your friends, look at them. And you want to be accepted by them? What's wrong with you? So they hang around, they come over to your house, and you have dinner together, and you make love together, you talk together, you're in business together. You have them around you, and you feel accepted by them. You poor, foolish, gullible, in danger men and women. You don't know what danger you're in from your friends, from those so-called strong people, popular people, people who are going places. Now look what you've done. They won't throw rocks at you as long as you smile at them. And so you call the absence of the rock throwing at you, flaring up at you, you call that friendship, or you call that a beautiful companionship. You call that good. And you say, I feel good. I feel safe. I feel accepted by those people. Wrongness always accepts wrongness. You are wrong. All wrong. Not only that, but you're stupid. Because you don't see that you're connecting your wrongness with their wrongness doesn't make anything right at all. Therefore, that feeling you have of being accepted by those people, by those relatives, that feeling you have is a fake, and you refuse to see it as a fake. You won't expose to yourself that you're a walking fraud, an imposter. Haven't you ever had, let's do a little thinking, go back into memory just a little bit. Haven't you had a close friendship with someone else, with a man or with a woman or a friend or whatever? Relative? Have you had a close relationship with them and you felt good because you felt accepted by them, protected by them? Haven't you had a situation like that? Then all of a sudden came the flip-flop, and you got mad at them or they got mad at you. What happened to that beautiful friendship of 4 or 5 years? I'll tell you, you were living in very foolish delusion all those years, and it's your own fault. See, you don't have to work with those people out there. You have to work with yourself so you see what you're doing. And when you really see what you're doing, we talked about a right feeling. You think you have a right feeling being a friend of this world and being a friend of your own wrong ideas, walking with yourself when you're all wrong. You call that a good feeling? It's not a good feeling at all. It's a terrible feeling. Because if you have to have anything, religion, money, your circle of friends, if you're depending on anything, you are scared. You're scared of losing it, scared of losing them. Once in a while, a man or a woman will come along who loses everything in this world and gains the other world, the world of eternity. You don't have that now. All you have is your religious platitudes and your viciousness. All you have now is your religious viciousness and your hatred in your heart for other people. There's something besides that you can have. You can have a feeling that is, listen to how this is phrased. You can have a feeling that is so right, you never ever have to think about it. You don't have to think about whether you're feeling good or not. It is there, and since it is above being manufactured by your own delusions, because it is above that, it is there without any effort on your part, without you trying to hang on to it, without you wondering whether it's going to fail you tomorrow or not. See, when you really have the spirit of truth, there's no sense at all that someone or something is going to fail you. You have that now. Because you're trusting in the wrong thing. You're trusting in your own nature. You're trusting in your own intelligence, which, by the way, is non-existent. Existent. Calling yourself intelligent, wise, and right does not make you intelligent, wise, and right. It makes you a victim of your own self-deception, which is horrible pain. And because you don't know the right thing to do about it, you do the wrong thing, which is to go out and buy some more people. Try to buy some more security, pushing the wolf away instead of getting rid of him altogether. I think I'll tell you how you live. Maybe this will make this whole business clearer to you. That you can, with the right action, be more intelligent with what is haunting you. You've seen a movie on television maybe where a woman's lying in bed at night. She's all alone in the house, big house. They make it a big house. It's more mysterious than a little house. Lots of empty rooms, and the wind blowing outside, and it's dark and it's stormy. You've had this experience. What I'm going to say is your experience. You have it all the time psychologically and maybe even physically. Here this woman's lying in bed at night and it's midnight and she can't sleep any more than you can sleep soundly because your own haunting mind is racing around, right? You've had nightmares and you wake up just briefly and you wish you could go to sleep, but you can't. And you're living in general life torment. It's pretty hellish, isn't it? Oh, not just at night, but during the day too. But you've got so many exciting things like that plate of food or that bank account to distract you so that you don't notice it quite so much during the day. But anyway, here's our lady lying in bed at night, and she thinks she hears a strange sound. Ever done this? Sound in the house? She can't identify it. And so she doesn't pay too much attention at the start because she thinks it might have been imagination. But she hears it again. Some kind of an unidentifiable sound that she can't locate upstairs or downstairs or wherever. She can't tell where it's coming from, which makes it all the more tormenting and more fearful. So here she is lying in bed, and the sound gets louder and louder, and it seems directionless. She can't tell where it's coming from. And she tries to go to sleep. Well, let's pause a little bit. We're getting close to you now, aren't we? You want a comfortable life? You want to lie back and feel comfortable. And you can't because all the world out there, which is in you, by the way, is haunting you. And you hear these strange sounds. Anyway, here she is lying there, tortured, scared, all alone, can't call on help. There's no one to hear her cry out. She says that someone's coming into the house, no one to call on. Have you ever noticed let's pause again, have you ever noticed your helplessness? Oh, of course you'll phone someone. What good does that do? That other woman's as scared as you are. So she lies there, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Finally, after her imagination has run its course, what is it, some unseen presence, whatever, finally she remembers something. She remembers that the window's blowing out there, and there's our branches against that window over on the other side of the house. So she gets up and puts her robe around her. The movies always do it quite dramatically, don't they? It's cold. And she finally goes and she sees it's a branch brushing in a strange way against the glass. And that's what she heard. Ah. What happens to her fear? What happens to her anxiety? She understands. It makes sense. She understands, therefore, there is no threat at all. There's nothing to fear. She doesn't have to lie there and pull the sheets up over her head and pretend that there's no menace. This is what you're doing. You're hiding out because you don't understand it. Why? Look. If you want to be like most foolish human beings, you can lie back in that bed and you can pull the blankets, if you want, up over your head and close your eyes tight and try to think of something, hoping that the sound will go away. It will never go away because it's inside you. You are the mystery that has to be solved. You are the haunting. You wake up and you say to yourself, it's not worth it lying here tormented like that. Come on now. I'm talking to you now. Don't be afraid to face the word torment. That's your life. Don't think it's too strong. It isn't at all. This is the way you're living. This is the way you live today. Because you couldn't mend, because you couldn't get that pretty girl you saw. And you women, because you couldn't get what you wanted. You're tormented by all your desires being blocked. And you wonder how you ever came into this cruel world. These teachings that you are hearing now guide you by telling you, come on, throw off those blankets. Get up out of that bed. Don't you dare lie there for another second. Throw them off. Get up and get out of there. And do what you have to do. Now, you have a chance of doing that because you're urged to do this, and we'll keep after you all the time. Out there in the world, they don't have a chance because they're not even listening to the urging. Throw off the I don't care how cold it is, how miserable it is. Do what you have to do in order to understand what's going on. Yeah. You want the comfort of laying back and throwing the blankets over your head and going into your daydreams that all is well. You know it isn't well. The world knows it isn't well, and they destroy each other with their daydreams. Don't you do that anymore. Come on. Put your hand on, you know what I'm talking about. I'm giving you a figure of speech, but you know how to apply it to your life. You take those blankets and bear the shock of not knowing what's on the other side of the house. You have a sensing that maybe you can solve the problem. That sensing is right. You can solve the problem of your own life. You get up there and you walk through that dark house, and I don't care how many times you fall down, how alone you feel walking through it. When you finally get to the far side of the house because you've endured all the way, you look and you'll see how the wind is knocking that branch against the window. That's what caused it. And now you know there never was anything to be afraid of. But you're not going to find it out until you get out of that bed and you arouse yourself. You stop being so lazy. You stop showing a preference for your dreams and for your delusions. I've told you how to do it. I've told you that all you have to do is go against yourself or go against your lazy habits. Walk across the whole house, go to where you can see reality, till you see that you've been hoaxed. You've been bluffed. You don't have to continue that way at all. You can understand, and that understanding destroys everything that has been harming you all your life. Now all is different because you are.